All right, Winston. So this is a guest that I've had on before, and this is when I was learning the ropes of podcasting, and we made all kinds of mistakes. Didn't record the first half of probably an 2.5 hour conversation. Realized I hadn't hit record, and so I'm in Vancouver, and I just bought my portable audio setup, so there's no video, so you don't get to see our handsome faces. But we are in Vancouver, BC. We are sitting in the Honey Hub, which is Winston's and his wife's second store. They have two stores on the same street, and this store is full of candles, honey, everything you can imagine that can be made with honey and wax. Am I correct?
Beeswax, yep. Basically, it's the products of the honeybee hive.
Right. And then your store up the road, which is Muckabouts, in the basement is all your beehives and all of the hardware.
Yeah, so Muckabout Gift Gallery is something that we opened up in 2016, and that is a local artisan consignment shop. Nina being a potter, kind of expanded from there. There were, I guess, talented artistic people that contribute to Muckabout. But in the basement is where I sell beekeeping supplies, encouraging beekeepers. So that's BC Bee Supply.
Right.
And if you can picture a gift shop being bonded or mating with BC Bee Supply, you have an offspring that is a honey shop.
Right.
So it's kind of gifty here at Honey Hub.
It smells amazing. It smells like wax, and even your store smells great. I go in there, I'm like, it smells like.
So if you like the smell of wood, which I'm sure as a construction guy, you like it. So our shelving is all beekeeper equipment.
Right.
So it's all our wooden boxes, our hive boxes, basically.
It's all pine.
So you smell the wood upon entry. You smell wax.
Right.
Because we melt candles and pour beeswax candles. We have ear candles and all kinds of beeswax products, beeswax wraps, and also the smell of honey, which we have all kinds of different varieties of honey from Canadian beehives.
Right.
So it should smell nice. Better.
Should, and it does. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in Vancouver and you are looking for gifts, or if you're looking for advice, this is the place to come.
Hey, thanks for the plug.
Yeah.
honeyhub.ca.
Yeah, our millions of followers are going to be flooding your store tomorrow. Look out. Sales are going to go up.
You must be in the millions by now. I can't remember the last time.
No. Actually, we just launched episode 60.
60?
Yeah, I just kept plugging away.
Good for you.
Don't plug it.
Good for you. I am about a quarter way through.
Right.
And I can't remember what episode I last appeared on, but I don't know what number that is. I think it's like single digits, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, you were.
I could be wrong. I've been listening to you and your sister. It's very entertaining, actually. I feel like I know you.
It's funny,
like
right?
the whole different side.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of stories.
Yeah.
And your sister's pretty wise.
She
I must
is
say.
wise.
I think she's very wise.
Abby is like this diamond in the rough. I mean, I'm like, I listen back to some of my conversations because sometimes when you're in the midst of a conversation, you don't really, it just feels a bit muddy when you're in it.
Because you have to,
you're in it. But when I listen back, I'm like, wow, she just sounds like really wise. Like she's able to take a concept and untangle it in her head, think it through to the very end, and then have a conclusion.
While knowing her own role,
right,
in that analysis,
right,
which I think is really
whereas
good.
my brain is too neurodivergent. They call it today, ADD. I'm like popcorn. I'll be on a subject for a few seconds, and then I'm off to another one. So I don't quite finish these thoughts, whereas Abby finishes them. So I really admire that.
Right.
Gift.
It's a good team because you start the concepts and you perhaps ask the question or you lead off with an anecdote.
Right.
And then, she's off and running.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's a good podcast.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
So the first time we podcast, just for some reference.
Yes.
I come to Vancouver for work. I used to live in Vancouver. I come to Vancouver for work, and Nina and Winston have been delightfully gracious and let me stay at their house every time I come to Vancouver, and it's been great. Like, it's been great. I feel like your family. And been such a pleasure getting to know you guys more. And the last time we podcasted, the first half of the podcast, we were talking about honey and bees and all, and it was very interesting, and we didn't record it.
Wasn't that the definitively best podcast ever?
Yeah, that never got recorded.
Yeah, I know. That's what makes it not enter human history.
It was amazing. It was next level. It would have been our viral moment, but it's just gone up in ether. So we're going to try and relive it now and pretend that never happened.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
I think so. Because we're in the honeybee. Like, we should talk about
beekeeping.
Would you be okay with that?
I'd be totally okay with that. Whatever you ask, I'll answer.
So let's take it back. What got you into beekeeping in the first place?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I still remember it pretty vibrantly. It was so context is about 16 years ago, Nina and I, we were hosting a lot of students, and we had young children at the time.
Right.
So in order to subsidize our produce budget, our grocery bill, to save money, we would plant a garden.
Right.
So in the backyard, we have these garden plots, very common in Vancouver, of course. And we actually worked it. We had illegal chickens, and we had an expanding garden area kind of year over year. And we just agreed that if it becomes too much, we'll back off. But it never became too much. Mm-hmm. Before we knew it, we were ripping out our front lawn grass, and planting gardens there. We would lay down bed sheets over the grass. We would be we brought in piles of mulch, and we would have the neighborhood kids climb it and start digging with us. Anyways, I can go down the garden road, but we ended up at this urban gardening festival. Like, it was just an event put on by, I think it was the UBC Farm or something like that. They were sponsors. Anyways, we were at this theater, and there was a silent auction. They were talking about how beneficial urban gardening would be. And the movie that they showed was Queen of the Sun, which talked about how honeybees were dying around the world. And it was a global problem. Like, what is this? Mm-hmm. So we had never really been familiar with bees, never wanted to be part of a global solution, but we saw this movie, and I kind of nudged her and said, do you think we can make a difference? Should we get bees for our garden? We can get increased yield in our garden. We could learn a new skill. Maybe we can even make some honey. Mm-hmm. And after I put in a bid on the silent auction for a pile of it was a yard of manure, basically, as a romantic gesture. I'll buy you a pile of shit. She said, okay, get me some bees, and you're mine for life. So,
it was then that I realized that he was my match for life, when he bought me a truckload of shit.
We still joke about it. So that was in 2011, 2012-ish. Mm-hmm. And we were fairly intrigued. So we went down a little bit of the rabbit hole, not much, but enough to know that we could get bees, right? And we could have 2 hives on our property. What do you need? You need a little bit of sting protection, you need a little bit of wood, and you have to find some source of bees. So we went to bee school, and we're pretty fired up, and ended up doing a lot of things wrong, including our first acquisition of bees. We bought a swarm off of Craigslist. And so we couldn't verify the background of the bees. We didn't know the person that had these bees. It wasn't a certified store to get bees, but we didn't care. let's try it out. So we bought this colony, which this man in East Vancouver just happened to capture, and he may have spawned this swarm. So a swarm, in a beehive.
What makes a colony into a swarm? Yeah.
So when a beehive grows so big that it overcrowds its area, mm-hmm. approximately half the hive will leave that area, leaving enough room for the now growing colony. And then this overpopulation will start its own hive. Mm-hmm. So it's really like bees reproducing. Mm. So this guy put up hey, come get this swarm for $150.
The swarm is the
swarm is the bees that took off.
Okay.
So he kept his colony alive in his box, but he didn't want 2 colonies to manage. Mm. So he took a flyer as well. I'm going to post this on Craigslist. I wonder if any of your audience knows what Craigslist is.
Yeah.
They have to be more than 20 years old.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's still.
Do people use it?
Yeah.
Oh.
All the old people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyways, who is this Craig guy? Anyway, so we picked up this rogue colony, which I guess it was an orphan because...
So it doesn't have a queen, though?
It does have a queen.
Okay.
As we discovered. So we actually, when we bought it, we didn't know that there was a queen. So now that we are actually suppliers, so I'll get into that. But now that we're suppliers, we make sure that every colony has certain constituent parts so that no one feels like we did when we first picked up a hive, paying good money for what might not even be a complete colony. And did we have a box to put them in? No. So we banged together some boxes. And did we have a stand? No. We used a broken old wheelbarrow as our hive stand. So that was the way that we had this box of bees off the ground. It was a broken wheelbarrow. Okay. So now, now at today's standards, when we are selling beehives, we have nice cedar log stands, and we have, really nice boxes and equipment, and we recommend painting or staining.
What do you stand for to keep it off the ground?
You want the hive to be off the ground.
Because?
There's ground critters. Yeah. The earth is cold.
Right. They're pretty sensitive to that.
Yeah. Bees perform better in the heat.
Right.
Yeah. So this hive didn't get much of a pedigree. He basically said, the seller said, yeah, my hive, threw a swarm, and I don't want to keep multiple hives, but I don't know what kind of bees they are, but there you go. $150, please. Right. So we paid him, and we got into beekeeping. And that was our precarious start into beekeeping.
So it was a swarm. It didn't perform? It
actually did pretty good. So if survival is performance, it survived all the way through the summer. It actually thrived in the summer, despite, again, rookie mistakes that we would make. I remember that first summer that we had bees, we were quite social, and we had students. So we would have regular parties and barbecues. And I remember having a barbecue tool in my right hand, a beer in my left hand, and talking to friends who were new parents. Hey, come on, let's check out my beehive. So we're opening up the hive during a party, with beer and alcohol around, and kids and infants. We're not protected. We just open up the hive and say, "Hey, look, we have bees," because we were ones in the community that had bees. Not the best move. Not the best move. Not the best time to open the bees. Your guests getting stung, and me pretending to show off, and handling the bees, getting stung, and I'm supposed to be cooking. And, I was terrible. We were terrible. But the bees did quite well over the summer, because when there's a lot of flowers out, they do well. They bring in nectar, and they make honey, and they bring in pollen. And the fall was okay. We didn't worry about a lot of the things we worry about now, like with varroa mite, that's a parasite, the swarming, and just other behavioral stuff that takes place in the non-optimal times of the season. So all of that stuff, we kind of, ignorance is bliss, and we just enjoyed having the bees around.
Did the neighborhood enjoy the benefits? Did you notice an increase in?
We did. So in the following years, so the first hive, we made it all the way through winter, and I remember around my birthday in February, we opened up the hive. So it was relatively cold, but it was a clear day, and we opened it, and the hive had survived to that point. So to your earlier question, did the hive perform? It did. It survived the winter, and then silly us. Again, this is the major mistake we did. We didn't feed the hive. So as the honey ran out, because it was 4 or 5 months of winter, and they started to consume their stored food, and then it snowed on March 2nd that year. And when I went to check the hive in early March, the hive had died, and all their heads were stuck in.
All their heads were stuck in the little...
in the cells. So they died.
The last bit of honey out.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that was kind of the last hive I starved. And Nina and I take full... Well, the starvation, It wasn't intended. We were, doing a hallelujah breakdown, right? February, hey, that's beekeeping's easy. Like, there's no problem. But, we didn't we were neglectful in that last month.
Yeah.
So disadvantage to the bees. And so, we learned our lessons. And instead of backing off, we're like, hey, this year let's get 6. So we did jump in quite readily. And even though we're according to our bylaw, we're only allowed 2 hives in the back, we actually talked to our neighbors. So one of our neighbors who we got into, the homestay game, and we said, could we utilize your backyard and expand our garden? And by the way, we'd love to put beehives back there if you're up for it. And so before you knew it, we had 4 hives. So 2 on our property, 2 on his property, and then we would put 1 or 2 in the front. So that's not really that compliant with the bylaw. So we had 6 hives in that second year.
Right.
So, and as it turns out, within the first 18 months of having bees, we got up to 18, 20.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So what's the, help us understand the hierarchy of, I know that, because Tara and my wife bee kept for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I got a small understanding of, I think we got bees from like New Zealand or something.
Yep.
And they came in like a tube.
Yes.
And apparently they don't poop in that tube the whole trip.
Yeah.
And so when they come out, it's just like a poop fest.
Totally.
But you've got drone bees, you've got like, how does that all work?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also curious on these, like this store is covered in hexagonal shapes, which is the shape of the symmetrical shape how do they make that?
I figured you would ask about architecture.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you want me to take first? Imported New Zealand bees, what happens with the types of casts of bees, or what they build. We can spread it out in like 10 minutes each, but
yeah,
I think most people know a little bit about the honeybee colony. So most people know that the most important bee is the queen.
Right.
So there's only 1 per hive, 1 in a healthy hive.
And she is made, right? Like you're not born a queen. You're chosen to be a queen.
That's a really good question. So you're really only effective queen if you are mated. So not just made, mated. So there are 2 genders of bees.
Yep.
Male and female. And the top caste.
He, him.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a they, them?
Sort of. So, okay. So a whole colony or grist, which is what a bunch of honeybees are called, a grist,
right,
contains 3 castes. 1 queen, the workers, which are all female, she, them, and the drones are male.
Right.
And they're haploids that don't do much. I'll get to them last, like I always do.
Yeah. Last.
But all of the bees, all of the individuals work in concert to improve the superorganism, which is the colony. So the queen does everything she does for the benefit of the colony. The workers do all their jobs for the benefit of the colony. And the drones do what they can to keep the honeybees alive. Where did I want to go with that? Yeah, so the superorganism is the it, like the beehive is the them, with a capital T. So whatever they have to do to keep the colony going, that's what can last year over year.
Okay.
The typical workers, they live only about 4 to 6 weeks during the working season. The queen can live 5 to 7 years if they're healthy.
Okay.
I myself have never bee-kept a 3rd overwintered queen. So
right. So is the queen? The queen isn't born though. She is chosen.
The queen. Okay, so
one of the
in days 1 through 3, every egg is pretty similar. So that is because they sit in a type of food called royal jelly. That's kind of what defines them as honeybees. So plus they were produced by a honeybee. But days 1 through 3, they're pretty similar. On day 4, the meal plan changes. So nutrition goes a long way into determining which kind of bee it's going to be, if that makes sense.
Even gender?
Yes, but it's kind of unfair because the males are haploids, so they're in a certain part of the hive, and genetically speaking, they're only going to be developed into a
Worker bee.
into a drone,
Right.
into a male.
So there's drones, workers,
and queens.
Yeah. And queens.
Yeah. So the optimal hive has one queen, thousands of workers.
And they're female.
They're female.
Okay.
And the drones are male. There can be dozens, there can be 0, there can be hundreds, but never really thousands.
Mm-hmm.
Not unless it's a very huge population of bees. So depending on the time of year.
Okay.
So the beekeeper should know the structure of the honeybee hive.
So let's go back to the egg.
Yeah. So days 1 through 3, they look to the naked eye, pretty similar.
Right.
So an egg is an egg is an egg, and they're all going to be bees. Day 4, and they're all eggs that sit in a pool of royal jelly within the hexagons.
Mm-hmm.
On day 4-ish, from when the egg was first laid, the queen bees, the queen eggs, would keep getting royal jelly. And they're going to develop in a certain way, and they'll be fully mature within 16 days. Whereas it takes the workers 21 days, give or take 12 hours, and then the drones take longer, 24 days, and they're actually less developed than the rest of them. So they take longer to evolve to a lesser state.
And they eat a different type of food. They switch from royal jelly.
That's right. So day 4, the queen tends to get the most royal jelly, which is a very high protein.
Be bigger then? Jelly in it? Her
developed cell. So as she becomes, so it goes egg, larva, pupa, adult, if that makes sense. So the egg stage lasts about 3 days. The larva stage for the queen is 4 to about 8 days. It's 8 to 9 days.
How does that transition? What does that look like?
So the egg will start to grow a little tail.
Okay.
And then within the hexagon, you'll be able to see a little bit of a curl. So they look like a little shrimp in the hexagon. And the queen cell actually will grow downwards and actually look like a peanut shell, if that makes sense. So you can pick out a queen cell much easier than, amongst a bunch of worker cells or empty hexagon shapes, you'd be able to pick out a peanut shell pretty easily. And you would know that there was a queen under development there. And on day 16, she would hatch out. Whereas if you're watching the majority of the eggs, they would develop into the worker brood. So brood is the unborn bee. Wave at me if it gets too technical. But you seem interested. Yeah. So in the worker scenario, this is 21 days.
Yep.
The royal jelly drops a bit on day 4, and it's more honey and a little bit of pollen. And that's what the egg needs to grow. So the larva stage begins, day 4, and around days 7 through 9, that larva gets capped. So other bees will come along and put a wax layer on the larva, and there will be approximately another 2 weeks where the worker bees are under the wax cappings, and they develop as pupa. When they grow. Approximately day 21, they hatch out, and they break out of this cell as an adult bee. And that's the majority of the eggs that are laid by the then queen. And so the beekeeper gets to watch these stages of development, and the majority of what he or she will see is worker brood, which are the female bees, which do all the productive jobs in the hive.
Right. So you were saying it was the pupa, the something. There's like these 4 stages. So there's a little hook.
Yep, that's the larva stage.
Right, and then the next stage is
pupa. Once
that's the shell,
the cappings.
Yeah. So the queen bee doesn't go through the pupa stage.
She does.
Oh, okay.
But the shape of her cell isn't just a hexagon. Because she's so big, because she's eaten all this royal jelly, that it actually extends and can be, between thumb length to middle finger length. They can be quite big. So, and that just means the queen is growing and gets elongated. And when she reaches adult stage, she is slightly larger and longer than a typical worker
And doesn't she have like a white backer or something?
Yeah, it's a pretty prominent thorax. You can amongst 3 bees, and one's a drone, one's a worker, one's a queen.
Yeah.
You could pick out the queen.
Yeah.
Because she's the longest and has the kind of the slender body. You could probably pick out the drone because he's wider than the typical worker. And we always compare the other bees to the workers because that's most of the bees. And they're virtually identical. Same striping if they're in the same family, same length, same coloring, and the majority of the bees will be workers. And then you can see and hear the differences in how the drones look because they're fatter and they move around in a bit more stupefied way, and they actually sound different when they fly than a worker.
No way.
And then the queen it should be obvious.
Right.
Because she looks that much different than both the workers and the drones. But when she's similarly colored and she's elusive and she's often hiding under the workers, it's hard to spot. So that's one of the frustrating and fun parts about being a good beekeeper. Try to find the queen, right? Because she's the best indicator that you have a healthy hive.
In a natural hive, how many queens? What happens because there's only one queen per hive?
Only one queen per hive.
So what happens to the other queens?
Yeah, so she's
fight to the death or something.
They can, and the hive will actually select the queen
out of a queen out of queen.
Yeah, so if you were to merge 2 colonies, for example, and there's 2 queens and all these workers, the dominant smell would allow most of the bees to follow her. And if the 2 queens were to encounter one another, they would fight because that's naturally a threat. To have 2 queens in a hive. So
what is the queen's role?
Yeah, great question. So the queen is responsible for laying all the eggs.
Right.
She's the only one that's capable of laying both drones and workers. So if she's mated properly and she controls the release of her eggs, she can make them dual chromosome beings, which are the female workers, highly evolved, very special beings, or the haploids, kind of the monochromosoidal, they'll only be advanced in the areas of flying and mating. So
they mate with the queen.
They mate with other queens, other maiden queens. They don't mate with their mother or with their sisters.
So who mates with the mother?
The other mothers from other colonies.
No, what? So you got a beehive, a colony. You've got a queen in there.
Yeah,
she's laying eggs. Yep. Who's mating with her?
She's already mated. She's only capable of laying eggs if she is mated. So let me take it from.
So after she's conceived, she's mated. After she's born, she's mated.
Yes. No. After she's born, she hasn't yet mated. So let's take it from day 16.
Sounds incestuous.
It could be, but it's better if it's not. So days 1 through 3, egg stage for all bees. Day 4, the nutrition kind of changes for most of the bees. The queen keeps on getting royal jelly. Day 8, 9, the peanut shell-like pupa houses a soon-to-be queen candidate, if I may call her. So on day 16, she hatches out, breaks out of this peanut shell. She's not yet mated, not yet capable of laying eggs, not capable of leading a hive. First couple days, she stretches her wings, gets familiar with flying, and then on day 20, after first conception, if the weather's nice, she'll fly in the sky at a pretty fast clip, releasing a pheromone of, hey, drones out there, come get me.
No way.
So there are these areas in the sky called DCAAs, drone congregation areas. I'm sure that's the technical term.
You are now entering a DCA
DCA,
zone.
that's right.
Drop your pants, boys.
So she'll fly through these areas and attract drones from other colonies. So these aren't her sons or her brothers or anything like that. These are, the idea is to get as wide a genetic sampling of honeybees as possible. Hey, by the way, we're recording, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, just check it. I don't know. I'm just looking at you.
Light on there.
Just checking.
I'm still softly nervous.
It just occurred to me. Anyways, the queen flies through these DCAs. Drones, the fastest drones, will pursue her. And only the fastest and strongest and best flyers, indicating the best genes for the honeybee, will mate her. And it can take 10, a dozen, multiple mates to get her. The sac that she carries all the semen that will keep her fertile, like full ammunition,
for
will,
like
5 to 7 years. 5 to 7 years.
So one,
Yeah, it's called her spermatheca.
she gets laid once.
Sort of by multiple partners generally.
In the sky.
In the sky.
And doesn't she rip the penis off when they're done?
I don't know if that's true, but they die.
They die after.
They die, yeah. They're spent. So so these
good way to die.
Yeah, it's a good way to die. And they actually represent the best of that genetic selection.
Incredible.
So it is a highly evolved, and I don't even know most of this. Like this is
we're guessing, right?
It's been proven, but in terms of the insect world, it's we're always thinking like humans, but
you wonder if they know that they're going to die afterwards. I mean,
no, I think it's all instinctual.
Yeah.
But the instinct is to respond to this pheromone, which the queen candidate is releasing, and it's in her best interest to have the best genetics possible.
It's so evident that this hive mentality that we all talk about is part of our English language, right?
Oh yeah.
This is or serving the colony. This is their whole driver. It's unselfish. It's like, I'm going to go and get like, a different gene pool over here.
Yep.
I'm going to, have sex with the queen, impregnate her and then die. But it's all to serve the greater good.
Honeybee species.
Yeah. It's amazing.
So it's,
self-sacrifice.
If you believe in evolution, you can see how this system of reproduction would work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's benefited the honeybee, only for a few centuries. Like so, they're earlier than humans. So it's highly evolved.
So she will go out a couple of times in her lifetime and get.
Yeah. So whether she leaves the hive as a maiden, as a virgin queen, is somewhat dependent on the weather.
Uh-huh.
So if it's a rainy or windy day, she might not go out.
Uh-huh.
But her clock's ticking. So if that happens too many days in a row, she never gets mated well. And that hive is definitely in danger. Alternatively, if she gets out flying and there are no viable drones around, she may have to do that mating flight 2 or 3 times over 2 or 3 days. The sooner the better, of course. And the more virile male specimens, the better. And sometimes it can be as efficient as 10, 12 partners, but sometimes it'll be in the 20s, 30s.
Wow.
And so that will show that will appear in evidence as she returns to the hive and starts laying eggs, which she could do for the next 5 to 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so the other queens, they're going off as well, flying off to try and get
the virgin ones.
Right.
The virgin ones. So once mated in the sky, right? Mile High Club.
Yeah.
They return to their hive and start laying eggs.
Right.
And that's when their productive life begins.
But only one queen per hive.
Only one queen per hive.
Where does this battle happen? Where are the rest of the queens?
So it's conceivable that if there are multiple new queen candidates in a hive, if they hatch out at the same time, they will duel.
Okay.
And then the strongest, again, evolution, the strongest one wins. And that's what the hive is left with.
But they can't sting. How do they kill each other?
Queens can sting.
Multiple times.
Multiple times on insects.
Oh.
It's only, so one of the myths is the bees automatically die when they sting. It's really only applicable to humans and mammals with thick skin.
So they die because their stinger snaps off?
Correct. So the stinger is barbed.
Right.
And only in the workers. So it's never really true when they say, "Oh, he bit me. That bee bit me. What a bastard." No, it's never the males. The males don't have stingers.
Okay.
So the females have the stingers, and because they're barbed, when they sting our skin, which is relatively thick, the barb gets stuck.
They have to rip it off.
Yeah. So if they tear themselves away, or you flick the bee off as you get stung or swat at her, the stinger gets ripped out of her abdomen and then she dies.
Okay.
So but if the bees are just fighting amongst themselves or with other insects, they can sting repeatedly.
Oh.
So queens can sting.
Mm-hmm.
So and they will fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So we got that figured out. The drones, what's their job?
So the drones. So they from egg to emergence is 24 days,
Mm-hmm.
and they go through the same stages. They go through egg, larva, pupa.
Right.
They get a lesser quality nutrition, but it's geared for like a slightly more protein, so they get more pollen than they would royal jelly. They get more pollen than honey, and that's why it takes them longer to develop. But they do develop in stronger and more rotund as well, rotund and robust.
Right.
And they hatch out, and during their life, they don't do any of the cleaning. They don't do any of the honey processing. If anything, they eat the honey, or kind of worse, they're fed the honey by the workers, their brothers, their sisters. So once it's high mating time, they will respond to virgin queens flying in the air and releasing their pheromone. And so the strongest flyers will pursue these virgin queen candidates and attempt to mate them. So if they're strong, if they're ready to, pass on their genes, they'll successfully mate the queen and die. Or if you're in, the beta category, you return to your hive and to try again. So you might not mate as a male. So that's the less fortunate way to die. And then the third way to die for the drone is being hatched out in late August when there aren't that many virgin queens around.
Right.
And you get dragged out of the hive by the workers because you're not really invited to overwinter with a colony.
Kicked out.
You get kicked out. Yeah, and beekeepers can see this. Right around
I remember seeing
the
that.
fall, you get, they get dragged out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the drone's job though? Is to, apart from mating with the queen, aren't they supposed to go look for plants?
Nope.
Nope.
Oh, the foragers are female as well.
Okay.
So I can tell maybe that guess may have come from the Bee Movie starring Jerry Seinfeld's voice.
Oh yeah,
right, because they're all male, right? They're all male. Like, wow, look at those foragers. They got the jetpacks and everything. I want to be one of those guys. No, that's all the foragers are female. So
isn't he? You screwed it up.
The females really are the workhorses by everything that's measurable by humans. So we have, we joke around with the drones because what is their job? Their job is to get strong, consume a bit of the honey. There's been at least one author that says that the drones will hang around the nursery where the young bees are to sing the song of the honeybee to the unborn brood. There is that. But that's pretty superficial.
Honeybee?
Yeah, just keeping the brood warm, and if that's a purpose, right? That's stretching, and I don't know if that's scientifically proven, but genetically the drones are pretty important because only the best drones get to mate with the virgin queens. Without the drones, like many species, without the males, you have no species. But in terms of a productive society, civilization, they don't really contribute that much that's measurable.
It's interesting, right? Like without offending people, like we in the human world, men generally seems like men die before women because, and I'm generalizing here, it feels like men have to go and toil in the fields and take on the burden of the bills and and bring home the baby. And so all that stress and pressure and physical labor. I'm not saying that women don't work, but in generally, like that's kind of historically the men have gone out and done that portion. In nature, you look at lions, the males just kind of lay around all day. The women, they do hunt, but the women in the lion world, I think the women do the hunting.
It's true.
The men just kind of stretch and sleep and guard their
Look intimidating.
yeah, and look
Yeah,
intimidating.
yeah, yeah. Lick their mane.
Yeah, and
This is we can drift into some dangerous territory here because we're two guys talking about,
yeah, and I
you
am
know,
generalizing, and,
totally,
women do work hard, and they have
totally.
responsibilities and raise kids and have children and all of that stuff, but
Yeah,
it is kind of upside down from a lot of the way yeah,
historically,
yeah.
historically, yeah. It's yeah. Well, one day, maybe for episode 135, we can get into some dangerous territory and
Territory.
talk about our real gender roles and how it fits into history. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I feel very lucky and proud, and I really like working with honeybees
Yeah.
and the structure of society. So when I instruct and teach people about beekeeping and the basics and introduce the art of beekeeping with newbies, um, I kind of joke around with the
Mhm.
the life of the males, and it's not particularly glamorous.
No.
So where humans have showered a whole bunch of glory on, men who are tough and they're the ones that go to war and they're the ones that win the bread, all this stuff. It's really women's time, especially in a beehive. So
Mhm.
um, whether it's nursing the young, which is what when a worker bee hatches out, usually the first role is to clean out the cell that they came out of, to which other bees will help,
Mhm.
and then they nurse the newer bees
Mhm.
because their royal jelly glands start to form. A couple days later, they move on to another role, and they're building wax. They move into a cleaning role because honeybees as a whole, again, working for the betterment of the superorganism, is cleaning out the debris
Mhm.
and making sure that every hexagon is perfectly formed. They go into a queen attendance role to make sure that she has everything that she needs because she's laying like 1,000, 1,500 eggs a day. So the cells have to be perfect and prepared and clean. And then once an egg is laid in those perfectly formed cells, those bees need those eggs need to be fed. So there's all these roles in the hive, including like later on in life, they go into guarding. They're the ones that guard, not the males,
Mm.
not the queen, right? It's the females of a certain day age
Mm.
that they're the ones at the front end of the entrance.
Mm.
And then to end their life, they will go forage. So again, it's not the males that do any of that. So everything that we observe as beekeepers, as humans that try to relate to the honeybee, we're watching the women.
Mhm.
We're watching the females. I shouldn't say women. That's whoa man, right? Like, the females
Mhm.
are the ones that do everything that's measurable.
Right.
So when we say, yeah, you've produced so much honey, that's all the females' work.
Right.
The males would only detract from that. And yeah, so the wonder of the female honeybee is impressive, especially with the queen who
Mhm.
who has produced all of them.
Mhm.
But that's not to say that the drones have no purpose. They just carry on the species.
Right.
So
Big deal.
it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's just not.
Yeah. But and I try to speak about it poetically in that because I'm a male, then not that much more evolved than someone that's just trying to get strong, get good looking, get laid, right? Let my genes carry on, right? But
Yeah.
but as far as fatherhood, that doesn't come into it. Housekeeping, balance of roles, that doesn't come into it.
Mhm.
They're just not evolved to do any of that stuff,
Mhm.
including defend the hive,
Mhm.
right? So they're even less useful in that regard than the male lion,
Amazing.
right? So
So how does the wax hexagons that we know so well that are perfect? The other
mhm,
thing I want to touch on is the honey versus the eggs.
right. So
How are the hives like made? Like how is all this wax made? How are these hexagons like why a hexagon? How do they do it so perfect? They don't have a
yeah,
temperature.
so this gets into someone that really has to study the honeybee at a very historical biological level.
Mhm.
But the hexagon is a relatively strong structure. I believe it's a six-sided perfect symmetry because the bees use their body for some of the math. So you can actually see how bees, including the queen, she will put her head into a cell, and her antennae are perfect distance and like distance apart across all the bees. So they kind of turn their head. And by doing that a couple times, they're measuring these 6-sided shapes.
How are the shapes made?
So from the wax glands out of
Females.
the female bees,
Mm-hmm.
and with the measurements of other bees that are hanging, they kind of it's called festooning, but they hang on each other's bodies. So they're grabbing leg to leg, and they're forming a chain of bees.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes that is the shape that the other bees are trying to build the wax onto. So their bodies are the measurements of architecture. They do their bodies form math.
So wax comes out of them kind of like a web comes out of a spider.
Yeah. Yeah, so they have wax glands, I believe, under their jaw, but I'm a little weak on the actual physiology of the bee.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's the females that make the wax. Generally, the younger ones, before they go into a guard or foraging role,
Mm-hmm.
and they build. So they're receiving instructions through pheromones from the queen.
Mm-hmm.
This is how old you are. This is what the hive needs. Go do it. So the younger ones will tend to nurse the young, even the younger brood. The slightly older ones will start to build out the comb. Why? Because the queen needs room to lay eggs, and she needs perfect hexagons to do that. The foragers need room to pass their nectar on to other bees that need to store the nectar somewhere and convert that into honey. Other bees still will collect the pollen coming in off of the forager's legs and store that pollen, because that's the bees' protein source. So the inputs from the outside.
How is the honey made?
Yeah, so the inputs from the outside are basically water, nectar, and pollen. That's really what the bees bring in. They bring in resin as well, but for food resources later, the nectar becomes honey,
right,
which is perfect food,
yeah,
and perfectly good for humans. And the pollen, which is attracted to the bees' body because they're statically charged, will be collected upon entry back to the hive, inserted into some of the hexagon cells, and then slightly fermented, and that pollen becomes bee bread. That bee bread is their protein source.
Right.
So over the course of the winter, or the time where there's really no flying days or flowers blooming, they hopefully, as a colony, have stored enough nectar, which has become honey, pollen, which has become a protein source, bee bread, and that's how they can survive during a period of no available food, or poor flying days, or threats against the hive.
Right. So if we extract, like the humans come into this picture and say, I would like the honey, it's tasty, so I'm going to take your honey. So, I mean, if a beehive in the wild doesn't have a human coming to take that honey, is it the perfect balance, or is it too much honey? Like, do they overproduce? Do you know what I mean? Like, if we take their honey, that's why you have to then give them honey in the winter, because you've taken some of their winter storage. Is that right?
That's partially right. I think so. Yeah. So if bees are left to their own devices, they've got this highly evolved insect driven existence, where they can, if they grow too big as a population for the space that they have, they'll swarm and kind of reproduce, and there's more bees. Each of the bees has a role to play, whether you're male, female, or a queen. And it's all in response to nature. So if there's lots of nectar sources around prior to that period of time, hopefully the queen is laying lots of eggs, which become lots of population, and a stronger hive is a more populous one. And over the course of the spring and summer, and arguably the fall, depending on when most of the flowers are around, in whatever 2 to 3 mile area around the hive, is what will determine how much honey they can store, which will be their food in times of dearth, which when there's no food available. Is it possible to have too much honey? So if the bees are super productive and do overproduce, that's just more food for them.
Mm-hmm.
And if it lasts until spring, which they don't know how long winter is, they don't know how long the dearth period is. So it's on them to gather as much as possible,
Right.
as much as they possibly can, because in the fall, honeybees, when there's less food available in nature, they'll rob from each other. Different colonies will steal from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, to your question about, can they overproduce in an area where there's lots of beehives, they could battle amongst each other, and they could, like in the city, you could argue that there's oversaturation of beehives, because with all the concrete and pollution, there's less trees,
Mm-hmm.
and there's less flowers,
Mm-hmm.
and there's less forageable material for bees.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they're disadvantaged in the fall, and really disadvantaged because they haven't stored enough. You can compound that by the humans taking half their crop, or in some cases, all of their crop,
Mm-hmm.
and feeding back sugar water, which is clearly an inferior source of food versus a field of sweet clover.
Right.
So, this is where the beekeeper role becomes a little bit unclear.
Mm-hmm.
And every class, I sense resistance. Oh, should we take any of the honey? I don't. I want to give the bees as much advantage as possible. So, I'm going to leave everything for them. That still might not be enough. So it's funny what we do. We
And in the wild, they've got bears and raccoons that want to go steal their hive.
right. So left to the wild, I believe that bees would select homes not on the ground, not accessible by humans. They'd be up in a tree, hollowed out tree, little alcoves of caves, little cliffs.
Yeah.
Right. There are some countries the bees are so productive, but their hives are on the side of cliffs.
Yeah.
So the beekeepers or the honey gatherers, they climb.
Yeah.
And they risk getting stung, when they're hundreds of feet in the air.
Yeah.
Right. So that to me, that's crazy beekeeping.
Yeah, because you can't wear a big bee suit either.
No.
Yeah.
You're often
those things around. It's like pouring honey, like insane honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, and the bees will take whatever nectar, right? So each nectar source produces honey flavors that is unique to that plant. So that's kind of cool too. So there's a lot of fascinating things that I continue to discover about honeybees, and I constantly question my role within it.
Mm-hmm.
And when we had 1 and 2 and 3 hives, maybe 4, that was kind of our nice limit, our manageable amount. And if everyone, every neighborhood, maybe every block had a beekeeper, that'd be great. That's what I would like to encourage.
Everyone needs to grow more flowers.
And so that's the dark side, right? We can't really have a beekeeper on every block.
No.
Not really.
No,
not the.
It's kind of like the deer overpopulation, right? You have too many deer, they get sick.
Right.
There's got to be this balance.
Right.
What we hear about so many times, flippantly said, if all the bees die, humanity dies.
Right.
What's that about?
Well, if the food industry is producing plant-based food, and some of that food is fed to the meat producing industry, I guess. Well, put it this way. The current statistic is 7 out of 10 bites of food are dependent on honeybee pollination. Whether that's true or not, I haven't done a full measuring. Like if I look at my plate today, I had, a Greek salad and, mashed potatoes. How much of that is dependent on honeybee pollination? I don't know. I don't know how much. Some of it could be grown in a lab. Others are grown on commercial food. Others are grown, exported from other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't lose that much sleep at night about it. However, there is a fair amount of tree and bush and plant and field pollination that takes place by honeybees specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So if all the bees were to die, like in the film that I saw that inspired me, it is conceivable that there's not enough food to feed the humans, nor enough food to feed the meat that feeds the humans. Are we teetering on disaster? Maybe. I don't worry too much about those kind of statistics.
Pesticides are a huge problem.
Yeah, see, that's it. I think it's a multifactorial problem.
Roundup. It's amazing to me that Roundup is still being used, like glyphosate.
Right,
I
right.
mean, I follow
Well, we're
this.
learning.
Yeah, but it's incredible that with all the knowledge that we have about glyphosate, I follow this Australian wine maker,
Mm.
and he's got, I think it's pancreatic cancer. He's like in his 30s.
A
And
30-year-old Australian winemaker with pancreatic cancer? That's
yeah,
at once a
or
amazing yet
intestinal, yeah, some kind of
catastrophic.
cancer, stage 3, and he is convinced it's from exposure to glyphosate.
Him.
Yeah, and he is just that's his axe to grind. So his vineyard hasn't seen any chemical. I think it was like 6 or 7 years, and he got the soil tested, and it came back with glyphosate on it, meaning there's glyphosate in the rain, you know? And, yeah, he's just amazed, when you watch these things and you're like, they're still I heard RFK, who was a massive anti-glyphosate guy before he got put in the spot he's been in.
Yeah.
Now I hear him talking and he's like, there's a bit of a problem. If we cut out glyphosate, farmers are simply not going to be able to produce the amount of produce that we need them to produce. And so it sounds like he's learning more. That's not as simple as just cutting it out, because it's so integral
Yeah.
to the volume of humans on the earth and how much we consume. Without glyphosate, it would be a huge problem, apparently.
I think yeah, I don't mind RFK. He's I think he approaches things as wisely as he can. So I don't know a lot about glyphosates except that they appear to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
Right, a la your Australian farmer friend. I think industry is tied in pretty tight, right? And then so there's a money motive for sure with Roundup and
consuming motive.
there's
What we consume.
yeah. So do we cut off the desire to consume and deny certain foods from being produced? Do we incentivize or punish food producers and say they have to be a certain scale, or they have to use certain miticides and fungicides and all this stuff to prepare the land? Do we blame other industries for, polluting the earth, for which we're just trying to grow clean food? Is it the regulators' problem? Is it? I think it's such a multi-layered thing that I think it's too big.
Chicken and the egg.
Too big for my brain. So it seems obvious that with less people, there would be less hunger and the need for food. So get rid of half the people, right? That's a really simplistic way of doing some evil stuff.
Yes.
Get rid of certain companies, right? Sue them into the ground. Yeah, exactly. But if you sue certain company, I mean, I don't know if I don't know if all the companies are so bad intentioned that it's yeah, I don't know if it's super clear. It's really hard. It's really complex.
Entrepreneurs and businessmen.
Yeah.
The opportunity to make a few dollars is extremely tempting. If the opportunity, if it's like, oh, if you know what I mean? It's and so there's a need.
Yeah.
Everyone wants avocados all year round in Canada.
Yep, bananas.
Right. Am I going to not give them that need if I can make dollars off it? No, but that is part of the problem is we've grown accustomed to having, I want salmon whenever I want salmon. I want avocado. I want sushi all the time. And we don't eat what's in season. And we're just tantruming little children that say, oh, well, where's the avocado in the middle of January?
Right. Right.
And
how do you satisfy 8
how do you slow that down when there's so much industry infrastructure built around producing all of that?
Yeah.
But that is part of the problem, I think.
Ooh, just defining the problem is pretty tough. It's and I'd love to talk more about it, right? Is overpopulation the problem? Is lack of fresh water the problem? Is it the energy that gets food, from one place to the other and the land farmed? Is that the problem? It's everybody's problem, and everyone can everyone be part of the solution? Like I don't know. It's a tough one.
I think it takes a hard hand, right? I mean, it's funny. Like my wife and I were like, we need to stop snacking after dinner, like, 10 o'clock snacks type of thing. Let's just try that. And I was talking to her today about it, and I was like, it's funny how we see that thing at 10 o'clock at night, and it's not because we need it, it's because we want it. We don't need to have that piece of food, but it feels good in the mouth and the flavor, and it's like, I want it.
Right.
And so, but, we're creatures of habit. And if you break that habit after a week or two, you stop craving it. But as soon as you start doing it again, it's like as soon as you start having an avocado, you want one the next day and the next day. And I think the only way you would stop the volume of food we eat is, regulators would just have to say, sorry, it's not happening.
Ooh.
And then we cry a little bit, and then we get over it. Well, I guess we just eat potatoes.
I guess so. But I
It won't
think I would resist that kind of solution. I would, because I mean, what if they, and what could keep me up at night is like beekeeping banned. Only these types of people on a commercial scale can beekeep. That'd be terrible in my mind. Or honey must be pasteurized, right? Or honey must be labeled as I don't know.
So raw honey and pasteurized honey, there's what do they do to it? Pasteurized.
So everything that's in this store is raw and unpasteurized. It's virtually right out of the hive. There's no preservatives added. There's no problem with shelf life. So how is that possible? So in this store, and I guess in most honey stores, I hope, the bee is the prime producer, and the human is the one that collects it. And hopefully we don't overcollect and endanger the whole species of humans, because we're doing that in about 8 different ways already. Exposure to pesticide, genetically modified crops, right? It's the equipment that's used. I mean, who checks that? And this is just one segment of the food industry, which is it's almost one of those things too big for my brain.
Yeah.
So, in fitting this type of problem, I feel like I'm just doing my part. So, if you are capable of beekeeping, we welcome that, because not everyone's willing to go into a hive once a week and risk getting stung. Some people just won't do it. I welcome the people that live in apartments. They can't beekeep because they don't have access to a 4x4 pallets worth of space. So if they go to a community garden, fantastic. If they use their buddy's house who does have a house, fantastic. If they just plant flowers, I think the world wins, right? We're contributing to our own super colony, this human population. I mean, we're one of billion, but the Earth is pretty big. Like there's enough land.
There is.
There's enough heat. There's enough water, and it doesn't have to be an economically managed resource problem. There could be abundance for everybody.
It could be.
Pick your spot. Don't overtake, and in some way contribute. That's what the bees do, right? They're just one bee in thousands of a population of thousands. What do they do in their very short life? Each worker goes to like 2 million flowers or something like that, and that produces only a teaspoon of honey.
Really?
I mean, that's the life of a bee. Yeah. So if the bee, I mean, we've kind of danced around how the bees are kind of our model. Right, drones here we are, males not contributing much. The workers doing everything measurable. But what do the bees do? So the drones, if he's lucky, they'll contribute semen, and that's it. That's it. If they're a worker, every day counts, and they're working 24 hours, right? So they work fine in the dark.
They don't sleep.
They don't really sleep. They respond to heat and cold, because they still are insectoid. And when the temperature is right, the sun pours onto the hive, about 9 degrees, 10 degrees, they'll start to fly. And they'll investigate what sort of flowers are around. But they're contributing in some way. They spit up a little wax and it builds it into a hexagon, or they take out a little piece of debris, this broken wax that's 2 years old. They'll carry it outside the hive so it doesn't pollute the inside of the colony. The queen will just lay an egg 1,500 times a day, right? That's a huge contribution over a lifetime that is kind of limited. But this super colony can produce a lot. So if humans are of a hive mind, we can work in pretty good teams. How are we measuring our contribution? And that's what I often think about, right? So we're producing a little bit of honey. We're making one beekeeper at a time. We are trying to do right by our own body and our community. And it's a pretty neat thing. So, and I feel the same way about gardening, right? I'm not a professional gardener. I don't like to pay for professional tools. I don't like to buy the best type of dirt, but I will, put my shoulder into kind of making my own. So I have some worms and I have good compost, and we rotate things around and try to do everything right. And every year we get abundance with something and a failure with something else. So, and when there's abundance, what's cool about that is that we can trade with other people that have abundance. And it's only a problem when we all produce, 80 pounds of squash, right? Now what are you going to do with it?
Yeah. I don't want squash.
That's right. Yeah. So, and
how's business?
The business is, it's gone up and downs. So it's been 9.5 years for BCB Supply and 3 years for Honey Hub. We've had some really good times. We built a very good customership. One of my mantras has always been, we want to be the first choice for beekeepers. If they want to get started in beekeeping, BCB Supply, we want to be the first choice. So I want to know every single beekeeper in the province. And I haven't really looked into Alberta or the States because, those are huge markets. But there are big players in the prairies. Like the number of beekeepers and their hives is relatively small in BC. So we might have more beekeepers in BC because we have a bigger population than Alberta, but the number of hives, our average is like 2 to 4. Their average is in the hundreds because there are less beekeepers, but they're all to scale because a lot of canola grows and they're slightly more rural and
cold winters though. Whew.
Cold winters, yeah.
How their bees handle that.
So there's less backyard beekeepers, although I hope that's growing too. I hope that's growing. So the suppliers tend to buy at scale, and I'm just trying to find the right balance between, we're beekeepers that had between 1 and 22 hives at our peak, but right now we kind of manage 2 to 4. That's what we can manage time wise, and they have to be close to our house. We used to go all over the neighborhoods to manage our bees, but now we're encouraging others to do what they can manage. Sometimes it's one hive. Sometimes they have the advantage of 2. And sometimes they have a recreational property, so they have 2 here and 2 there. So that's probably manageable for them. And they still get, a varied honey crop. They learn the skill of beekeeping, which hopefully brings them more pleasure than pain. And and we've seen people come and go in the past from beekeeping. And then this offshoot is the honey store. So 3 years ago, we had an opportunity to take over this space that we're in, and whatever venture wasn't working for the renters at that time, it kind of opened things up to the possibility that we could expand our retail reach. Not for beekeeping. Like, I don't want all the sting protection and the gloves and the tools here. I want it just the products of the hive. So it's what the consumer would want. So instead of going down the baked goods aisle at your grocery store for honey, you would want to come here because we have the most unique selection. We've got honey that grows that is taken out of hives specifically from BC mainly, but the stuff that we have out of province is buckwheat, which has as much health benefit as Manuka honey, which gets all the headlines in the world about honey. We don't have any Manuka because the Manuka honey, the Manuka shrub, I don't think grows in Canada.
Interesting.
But we've got fireweed, we've got buckwheat, we've got blackberry, we've got clover, and it's all pretty fantastic stuff. And then you've got BC beekeepers sort of infusing different flavors with their honey. So we've got lavender honey, we've got chili honey, so it's spicy honey. We've got creamed honey, we've got chia honey. So there's all these things that we can do just in what we can produce as humans, as beekeepers, as people that live in BC.
Yeah.
If
my buddy who keeps bees on the island, and he every year he takes his bees up to the mountains and they harvest fireweed.
Fireweed, yeah. So fireweed is very special in BC and really anywhere that's had forest fire. So that's BC, right? So even if climate change is true, right, and I'm sure that's another topic to be debated.
Well, it is true.
It is true.
Climate always changes.
Yeah.
Is it a catastrophe and a disaster and something to be scared of? That's the question.
Right. Or maybe they're shooting lasers from the sky that cause forest fires and whatnot, burn down towns. But regardless of that type of tragedy, what kind of regrows first? One of the crops is fireweed.
Right.
So I don't blame your buddy at all for taking his beehives, making them mobile, and putting them in an area where fireweed grows because the bees love it, and the product that they produce so good. So good. In demand.
Yeah.
Funny enough, not my favorite honey, but I know about the health benefits. And I mean, Nina really likes the punchy flavor. I'd much rather.
Kind of tasting.
We will. So one of the things that we've done at the Honey Hub is, and this is kind of a post, kind of mid-COVID plan that I had to bring beekeepers together. So I invite at the end of the season, all honey producers that have 6 jars that they're willing to part with. They donate 6 jars, only £1 each. So 6 pounds of honey in 6 different jars, and they donate it to the cause of the honey exchange.
Right.
And the other exchangers get back a mixed bag of honey. So and then we have a nice event, and we bring in, hey, maybe I should have you perform. And we do a honey tasting, and it's usually pretty fun, pretty limited numbers because not everyone's willing to part with their honey.
It's funny,
to be honest.
I'm not sure. I think I really like creamed honey.
Yeah. Do you know why that is? Oh,
I don't know why. I mean, I like the consistency of it.
Yeah. So it's spreadable.
Yeah,
so
it's spreadable. That's the problem with honey. It's sticky. It gets everywhere.
It's sticky, and then when you spread it over a cracker or bread, it soaks into one spot.
Yeah, or it goes right through it onto your hands.
Exactly. You miss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the creamed honey is really good because it's spreadable and it's kind of partially crystallized.
Right.
So honey will naturally crystallize and get hard and granular. But if it's whipped and started in the right way, the liquid can be smoothed out and spreadable. It's all taste and texture. Just doesn't come out of the hive like that. But nothing's added. It's the same stuff. It's just changed molecular construction. So cool.
Awesome. Do you want to leave it there?
It's perfect.
Because I feel if we go into another subject.
Yeah, we've danced around.
11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because I could feel like asking you a question. I'm like, we're going to go on and on.
Always leave them wanting more if they want more at all.
Yeah.
So, just like honey.
Well,
thank you.
I hope that recorded. I think it did. I see a red light. Thanks, Winston.
Thank you.
Because I know it's something you talk about. It's like your work, right? So,
yeah.
But I find it fascinating. I found it interesting the second time.
Right. Well, we talked about different stuff, and we danced around some, and this might be future topics to consider. Like we did brush up against the food industry and pesticide use, and we never even really got into the debatable topics of whether the movement of honeybees is detrimental to us or them or certain farming practices. So
politics.
Politics will affect beekeeping because it affects food.
And that's what we love to talk about.
That's what we love to talk about. Yeah. So, because we can solve it all, I think, Joey.
Yes.
As entrepreneurial spirits and the willingness to do good, but make a little bit of money on the side. That's I think there's room for everybody.
Is sharing battle scar stories of trying to be an entrepreneur in Canada. We're taxed up the yin yang. It's a tough gig.
Tough gig.
Yeah,
tough gig. So why do we fight? Because there's hopefully something better, and what I think we do is worthwhile.
Yeah.
I hope. I mean, I've been an admirer of your work, and it's good to work with you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, folks, if you're in Vancouver and you want
North Burnaby,
North Burnaby,
same stuff.
come to the Honey Hub. Come to Muckabout. These are the pros. Thanks, Winston.
Thanks, Joey.
I'm tired.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, fading.
Let's get you some honey.
Let's do it. All right. Take it easy.